Welcome back. So in this lecture, let us see how can we declare functions in Python. So new Python file, functions demo. Alright, so basically I have put a statement here saying in Python or in any programming language, function is a group of related statements that perform a specific task. So basically if you have a few set of statements and if you want to wrap that whole set of statements into one module, then you can declare function name and wrap all those statements inside that function, so that if you want to call that function, you can just call that with its function name, so that automatically all the statements belongs to that function will get executed. Okay, so let's see a demo for it. I hope you know what exactly function does. If you have programming language basic, that not in Python, but if you have basic of Java, C, C Sharp, any language, so function is a common, right? So in Python, if you want to create a function, the keyword what you have to use is def. This is the identifier which you have to use if you want to create any function, and then you have to give function name. Let's say the function name what I want to give here is greet me. Okay, sorry. um, Once you give the function name, you have to pass brackets, and then you have to give colon, which says that you are actually done with that function name and that particular statement. So as I told, it's just like for loop and if block, where you provide this colon, where if you use Java or JavaScript, you actually does with parenthesis, but in Python you don't have any parenthesis like this. You will just give colon to say that you have completed first line of declaring function name, and you can start actual body from the bottom. Okay, and here, so do remember that Python follows code indentation, that you have to write from the point where your cursor have taken after you hit enter, so that it reads whatever you have written comes under this function. Okay, so if you start from the beginning, then it reads that this is completely another code which does not belongs to function. The reason behind that is, unlike Java or JavaScript or C Sharp, you won't have parentheses like this, right? So Python don't know when this function got ended. In other programming languages, you clearly give this parenthesis and you write all the data inside it, so that once it identifies that closing parenthesis, then it reads that function is completed. But in Python, we don't have this opening and closing. So how would you actually know? Is that you have to follow some code indentation process, where you have to start writing exactly from the name starts from here, right? So if you write anything under it, will be part of that function. Okay, it reads like that. So you need not do anything new, just hit and enter in your PyCharm editor. That will exactly take you to the point where you have to write everything. Okay, but if suddenly if you go to the beginning, then just do one tab, you will directly come to here. Okay, do remember that, right? So for now I want to just print a statement like this, good morning. That's it. So I have created a function and I just printed good morning in that function. All right, so now I have to come out of this. So basically that function is done. So right now I'm just printing only one line which belongs to that function. When we are actually working with so much of advanced automation, then we will do lots of statements inside this function. So now if I want to call this function, How do I do? So if you declare it here, if you keep on writing statements now at this point, it will still treat that is part of this function only. If you think that is done, then do backspace to go to the beginning. If you go to the beginning, then you see that it reads that function ended here. But if you come here and start typing, then it will still treat that whatever you are typing is still part of this function. Do remember that. One backspace, you will go to the beginning. One tab, you will come into the function. Right. So let's say function creation is done. Now if you want to call that function, it's so simple. You just need to call that function name. Here greet me is our function name, right? Just call it. That's it. And you will see the output when this got executed. So now when you run your test, Python will scan it. This have nothing to do. This is just a function declaration. Okay, let me put function declaration. And here you are actually calling the function. So this is the executable code. Function call. You are calling it here, greet me. Okay. So move your cursor on this. It is giving some complaints. These all are like coding intentions where you can just set it. Expected to blank lines. Give two spaces and then error will be gone. Okay. So even if you don't give blank lines, it will run. Just this PyCharm editor have imposed some strict coding standards which you need to follow, but that doesn't matter. Even this is the valid code. Okay. And here expected to blank lines. Okay, so it want to differentiate between the comments and the actual. So it's up to you if you can do this changes or not, but that will not stop from your execution. Alright, so let's save this project and run it. Function demo.py, right click, run. You see that good morning printed in the output. So we have simply created one function and we called that function using Python. So now let's understand parameterized function. So I want to send some parameters from my function call. So let's say it needs to be greeted with Rahul Shetty name. Okay. So basically you are sending a string, right? So you need to catch it here. So you can write a name so that when you call this function, this Rahul Shetty name will get stored in the name. So once it is name, you can actually call it here. Good morning, and then you can give the name. So basically this is a variable string, right? Variable, and this is the string. To separate string and variable, you have to give plus operator. Plus is a concatenation operator which concatenates your string and variable. And that's it. Now if you run this code, it will print good morning Rahul Shetty. Let's see that. Okay. So as I said, in the shortcut to run is Control Shift F10. You see that it printed good morning Rahul Shetty. So now you understood how to send parameters into your function and how to call that function and how to create that function. So now let me create one more function. Let's say we need to have one function which actually does sum of two integers. So how to do that? As I said, don't write it here. If you write it here, it exactly comes in the same line and assumes that it's part of that function. Come to the beginning. Def add integers. Let's say if you want to pass two values to sum a comma b and colon to say that first parenthesis, or assume like that. If you are familiar with Java, treat it as first parenthesis and hit an enter and make sure you exactly come down on that first alphabet A. Or if you accidentally go to the beginning, say tab and start from here only. It's simple. You have to sum these two numbers, right? So A plus B. That's it. So now if you want to print them, print A plus B. and that's it. So it's complaining some code indentation problem here. Move your cursor on this and it says expecting 2 blank lines. So basically after a function it's nice to have one more blank line, but as I said, this is optional. For now I don't want to do that. Let it be that line. That will not affect your code. Alright, so add integers is one of the function which actually does a plus b and print the output. So I will just call that add integers function and I would pass 2 comma 3, and the output this time should be good morning Rahul Shetty and 5. 2 plus 3 5. Okay, control shift F10 to run. You see that 5 got printed in the output. If you don't like this error to have, just give one space and the error will go away. And here also give some space. It just accepts space to have that code indentation, but it's not mandatory. Alright, so this is how functions are treated in Python. So keep the syntax in mind. Going forward, when we are working with automation frameworks, we will use them, all these functions, and that time all the syntaxes will come into the handy. Like def is a identifier used to create function, and colon is a mandatory identifier to use after you declare function name. And don't remember that unlike other programming languages, you should not write this keyword called function. Not required. Write function name directly. You need not mention function word anywhere. Okay, this is the one def colon and the code indentation process, that exactly the further lines should come exactly bottom of the function name. Once you are done, the next code you have to again start from the bottom. These are the things which you need to remember. One last thing, you can also return this. You can return the values from your function. Here we are printing, right, a plus b. Instead I will return is the keyword which will return the sum a plus b. Okay, so now it will catch here. So basically instead of printing it here, I will print from this point. So it will just return 2 plus 3 5, and we are trying to print the output what we got from add integers. That's it. That's the only difference. So you can also return back the values with the return keyword. Okay, let's run this program and it's still the same. Alright, that's pretty much about functions introduction in Python, and we will use them in our immediate next lecture when we talk about classes and objects, which comes under object oriented principle in Python. Alright, thank you.